guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Yanika. Today we have Omar with us, owner of easyapplyjobs.com. I'm gonna have you introduce yourself, what you do, and give us a quick background.
All right, so my name is Omar, and I am the founder of easyapplyjobs.com, and I live in Northern Virginia, in like near Washington D.C. And you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is actual Omar, and then you can also follow Easy Apply Jobs on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Easy Apply Jobs.
Okay, nice. So what is easyapplyjobs.com exactly?
Sure. So about 2 years ago, I was in the market for a job, and I would come across a lot of jobs that I liked. You know, it looked really good. The description was good. The company was good. And then I'd go to a page and it would ask me to make a login to apply for the job. Or it would, ask me to upload my resume, and then on page 3, telling me to manually enter every job I've ever had with the description and the dates I was there and the phone numbers. And I thought it was frustrating. And personally, I don't apply to those kinds of jobs. If the job application process is hard, it makes me feel like you don't want me to work there. So I was thinking to myself, there has to be a better way. And I know for years, LinkedIn or Indeed also have their own versions of Easy Apply, but generally there's not one place where you can search for Easy Apply jobs. There's jobs that are easy to apply to that would not be qualified as Easy Apply on Indeed or on LinkedIn. So I wanted to really take a more qualitative look at job listings and make a website where every listing on the site, it's not going to ask you to make a login, or it's going to ask you to upload your resume, then upload your work history manually. For me, I just thought it was something where I saw memes about it. I saw jokes, people complaining about it on the internet. And I thought to myself, there has to be an easier or a better way to apply to a job. And there's even data that says, I think 92% of job applications go uncompleted. Like people start the application and don't finish. And there's also data that says that the easier your application is, the more applicants you're going to get. So I think for me, it's finding a way to, one, make searching for a job easier for applicants, but also encouraging employers to really improve their process to get more people to finish the application, which could lead potentially to them having higher qualified applicants.
Oh, that's so true. It's funny that you said the whole manual entry thing, because I've been guilty of that. Like, I applied to a job and then they send me to a website and they're like, oh, you have to log in. Oh, now upload your resume. But now input all the information you just explained on your resume. I'm just like, okay, I'm not doing all of this. I mean, I start doing it now a little bit because I find that some of the more quality jobs do require all that extraness, but it is very frustrating to go through. So are you saying that all the jobs that are listed on your website, like none of them will ask for any extra additional steps?
So they do have additional steps where they might ask you, like, are you a U.S. citizen? Do you require a visa requirement? But to me, that's a lot different than telling somebody to upload a resume and enter your job history manually. And I do agree with you that a lot of good companies do still have the process where you have to update it or manually. But I think what I'm seeing now too is a trend where they'll have it where they can autofill a lot of it from the resume. A lot of times it's not going to be a perfect transfer, but I think that's still an improvement. And for me, it's just literally promoting the idea that application should be easy.
Yeah, for sure. So question for you. What really differentiates Easy Apply Jobs from sites like Indeed or even ZipRecruiter? Because ZipRecruiter, I think, makes it fairly easy to apply to jobs. Like most of the jobs on there, I can say are like one-click apply. It's very rare that I've come across personally on ZipRecruiter where I had to go in and manually enter. It seems like those type of employers just don't use ZipRecruiter. So I guess my question is, like, what differentiates your company from sites like Indeed and ZipRecruiter. Indeed too has like quick apply stuff as well. I think it's like most are quick apply, but there's a few where you have to like go into the website and manual enter. But nonetheless, what differentiates you from those companies?
That's the thing. So ZipRecruiter, Indeed, and LinkedIn are also big that they can't exclude companies that aren't quick apply or easy apply. So they're so big, they have to kind of let everybody on their platform. On my site, every single job on the site is going to be quick apply or easy to apply. And what LinkedIn or Indeed classifies as easy apply is generally when the recruiter posts a job listing, they can select an option where you can send them your resume, and that counts as an application. But that doesn't go across platforms. So if a job is listed as easy apply on LinkedIn, all that really means is the recruiter opted in to have it where you enter your name, phone number, email, and then press send, and they'll get it. Um, it doesn't mean so on like Indeed or LinkedIn, you will not find the same jobs like that or easy apply. On my site, it's just a database that there's no other database like it that's gonna have all the jobs I have. It's really more just focusing on a specific niche. So like there's job sites where you can search for jobs in nursing, or you can search for jobs for being doctors in certain hospitals. So it's just really me focusing on a niche to serve an audience that really, really, really wants to have a simplified application process. Whereas before, even if you want to do easy apply on the other platforms, you have to go to all three websites. Whereas my site, if you really are that specific about having an easy application process, you just go to one website instead of you going to all three.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess my next question is on the employer side. I know a frustration for a lot of employers is that they get a lot of applicants that aren't qualified, you know. So how would Easy Apply be helpful for them to weed out bad applicants?
Okay, and that's a good point. So you want to make your application process easy enough where you can get a lot of applicants, but I don't necessarily believe that making it harder gives you the best applicants. I think having a hard application process gives you more desperate applicants, but if some people have options and they're very talented, they're not going to jump through a bunch of hoops for your job if they really feel like I have options or I can go elsewhere. So I do think by making the process more straightforward, you can attract a higher quality candidate, because I don't personally believe that having an easier application or having a harder application gives you better applicants.
Yeah. No, I did see some employers too have a hard time getting quality applicants. I know, I think I was talking to a recruiter and she was saying, some of the people applying don't meet anywhere near the qualifications, and they're having a hard time getting the good applicants to come to their application. But I don't think that's more so the application process. It might be more so the job itself, like people not wanting to go to that job. So I can understand. I guess I'm just looking at from the employer side, as someone who in the future might hire some one or two people. I'm looking like, okay, if I'm getting like 1,000 applications, do I want to run through 1,000 application when I know like 900 at least of them are like no good?
But you can screen it, right? So like, let's say your job specifically requires some kind of accreditation or some kind
Mm-hmm.
of degree. You can screen the full 1,000 and say, okay, I'm only going to talk to people that have this accreditation or this degree. And then from there, you can say, well, I require X amount of years of experience. And you'll see this on some other sites where they'll ask you, do you have X amount of years of experience? And you could narrow it down that way. And then you can go down further and review the resumes to say, okay, well, let's interview these 10 people or these 5 people. But by not having people to choose from, that doesn't make your job
That's
any
true.
easier if you don't find anybody, does it?
No, that's true. No,
Yeah.
that's very true. Um, no, you made some valid points there. I just, have to look at it on both ends. But I'll say having a one-click, easy apply process is definitely a smart idea. It's definitely a good thing to come up with because, even on Indeed, sometimes it'll say it's like one click apply, but then it takes you to a website and you still have to fill something out. And I'm just like, okay, why didn't you guys say this? So I can, like what I do is the jobs that are easier to apply to, I'll apply to first. And then the ones that I'm interested in, but I see that it's a long process, I like keep it open in my browser until I can get to it.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
don't apply to it right away until I have time.
that's true too. I think it makes the job seeker more specific about which hard applications I'm going to apply for. So as a job seeker, you see an application and you know it's going to be a long, hard process. You might say, okay, you know what? I really want to work with this company, so I'm gonna do it anyways. But typically, if more applications that are hard like that, the less companies that are going to be able they're going to be able to go and fill it out. Um, and I think for the recruiters that are seeking to say, I want more quality candidates, if the candidates they're getting now aren't quality, they have to do something different. And I think it's not just the application process that they're seeing this bottleneck issue in. I think it's also the interview process and even the job listing itself. Like, for example, I think by listing the salary requirements or salary range, that might help, but companies don't want to do that, some of them. And I feel like in a lot of ways, companies are getting in their own ways when it comes to finding quality candidates. I think the application is just one part of it. I don't at all believe that fixing the application process itself is going to make everybody happy or make this process easier or easy completely. But I do think it's a step in the right direction. I do think laws like I think in Colorado and some other states that are going to require companies to start sharing salary listings instead of forcing candidates to go through the interview to learn, okay, this shop's paying half of what you want to make. That's just wasting everybody's time. So I think by finding a way to get enough information from the candidate, one, without the extra stuff or without just wasting their time, I think it really makes the process easier for both job seekers and employers.
No, that's true. That makes a lot of sense. And I know you brought up how Colorado and some other states might introduce where candidates will be able to see the salary and stuff like that. Um, so will Easy Apply be that way in where everything is transparent for the potential employees who are applying? Like, will we be able to see everything like the job has so that we're not applying to something that, is like not even something we would want to do?
Truthfully, that falls in the hands of the employers. So getting employers on board with these type of changes, people like me that have sites, job search sites, we can update that instantly. That could be an easy, quick fix. The problem that I'm seeing now is a lot of job seekers complained about not seeing salary ranges on job listings. And what I've seen other companies decide to do is to start making estimates. And even then, these companies that are posting jobs on these sites, they're the clients of the website. They know that job seekers are wanting to see salary ranges. But I think to protect themselves or to kind of have more leverage, they're purposely, hiding it. And I just think
Yeah.
that this game of like chicken between employers and job seekers, they have to find a middle ground somewhere. And I think people don't want to show their hand. Whether it's employers don't want to, tell job seekers what their job really is going to be like, or where, some job seekers might not fill out application because they're asking for too much. I just think there has to be respect on both sides, and it's going to be make it a little easier. But yes, I can absolutely have a salary range or a salary section on my site, but most jobs I see now don't list it. It's not uniform, and even when We talk about companies that use the exact same software for job applications. Oftentimes, they require you to make a brand new password for every single one of them. And that's the type of stuff I'm talking about where it's frustrating for a job seeker. If all of you use the same platform, why can't there be one login? I've seen it where there's one platform that 5 companies are using, and all 5 companies have different password requirements for each login. And it's the same platform they're using. And stuff like that, I think is frustrating. And it almost seems like they're making it difficult on purpose. But I don't think they are. I mean, I just think they haven't fully caught up yet. But the data is out there. The data does show that if they make the process easier, that they would see higher completion rates for the applications.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I want to piggyback on how you started out. I know you said you were online looking for jobs, and you just were like, hey, why can't we make something that's super easy to apply to? But most people who come up with ideas in their heads never actually go through with those ideas. So what made you decide to say, hey, I'm just going to create this website and let's see how it goes?
So it's a funny story. So it's funny when I got the idea, I thought to myself, somebody had to have made this already. So I told myself, if I look for the domain and it's available, I have to do it. So I looked the domain up and it was available, and I bought it immediately. And from there, I said, you know what, I'm going to figure this out. It took me like months, maybe years to really build it out. But I just couldn't believe that nobody else had bought the domain at least, or even had the website. Like I thought LinkedIn would have owned the domain, or Indeed, or somebody that promote easy apply jobs would have bought the domain, but nobody bought it. So I just said to myself, you know what, I can do this. And then I started talking to my friends that are web developers or people I know that are into software and coding to see, is it even possible to aggregate all these jobs? And then I learned all about the job recruiting, website business and how the different business models that they have. So like one model is like a job board model where they have the job board up and then recruiters will go there and post jobs. And it's just one website where a bunch of jobs post their jobs. The other kind is called like a job aggregator, where it pulls jobs from all over the internet and it has it there for you. And at first, my idea was, okay, well, I'm going to build a job board. But then realizing, okay, how do you get companies to post on a job board that doesn't have users yet? But then how do you get users to a site without jobs? And that's like the cat and mouse problem. So, or the chicken and egg problem. So I told myself I would create a job aggregator first, to where I can pull the jobs from the internet and have it in one place. And then that's like learn how to build a database and how to build the job scrapers, and then put it all in one place in a timely manner and update all of it. And that stuff took months to learn, but I figured it out.
Nice. So has this whole process been like super challenging? Like, how's it been for you?
It has been challenging. It's
Mhm.
you have an idea for a solution for something, then you find out what it really takes to build it, and then you just think, okay, this is impossible, or I'm never going to finish this. But I think the more you start talking to people, you start seeing different applications of how people solve similar problems, and you just start working on it. It came to you'll figure it out. So for me, that was at first, okay, how do I build a job scraper, or how do I automate this where it does this by itself, or how do I remove old job listings that are no longer active, and just finding ways to do all these things. And I tell you, when I started out, it took me hours a day to just build this database, and I had like 1/10 the amount of jobs I have now. And it has to be a better way to do this. And I think I started where I was at, and I kept on getting better and better and better and better and better. And over time, you find bigger problems to solve, and then you solve them, and then you have new problems to solve, and you solve those. And then, but I think for me, it's just starting out and learning, okay, what are the problems I need to solve, and then just talking to people. I think a lot of people gave me a lot of solutions and ideas on how to actually execute this, because it's possible because other people are doing it. So it's possible, but how do I build it for my application? And that was like the challenging part for me, where a lot of times where I had to go to multiple people, where I knew one person that could do this part, then he had an issue where we had to find another person to complete that part. And then bring it all together. And it was just a lot of collaboration between a lot of people. But I think that's the way I solved most of my problems with the website.
Makes a lot of sense. And I guess I have to ask, like, where do you see easy apply jobs being 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
I think for me, I really want more companies to be open to the idea of having an easier application process. I saw an interview from a CEO in the HR sector, and he said he wishes that more CEOs would go ahead and try to apply for jobs for their own companies, and they
Yeah.
would see how ridiculous it is. And I think that's something that I think is true because a lot of people just don't realize just what they're asking candidates to go through, especially when it's things that they probably wouldn't do themselves for the same jobs. So I think in 5 years from now, I would love to see 70%, 80% of jobs be easy apply jobs. Right now, in the United States at least, there's about 2 jobs per job seeker, meaning these companies are competing for candidates, and I think they should start acting like it. I think if there's a shortage of labor, as they claim, make the
Mhm.
process easier. You know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't complain about not having enough talent when you're making it impossible for talent to even apply for your job.
No, that's very true. And for some people, it's like when they are going through the application process and they're seeing how crazy some of these jobs are making it. In these modern times, as young people, we're not trying to go to a job that's having you like just do extra stuff for no reason. Like, because we already know they're gonna be a frustrating employer to work for. Like it comes off that way anyway. So I don't think some employers recognize that in when they are creating these applications. But no, it's great to see, a young Black entrepreneur doing his thing and working on a website that I think is very beneficial. I went on there myself to view a couple jobs. I'm hoping soon you'll have more California jobs on there. But it was a pretty cool website. I liked it. Seems simple enough and seems like what most of us are looking for when we're trying to apply for jobs. So I want to say big ups to you on that.
And that's something I do want to make a point too. Like right now, I'm scouring the internet to find jobs that are easy to apply. But if you are a company and then you have an easy application process that you know is easy, you can actually post a job on there yourself. Like you can go on there and post a job and manage your own job listings. So, as an employer or a recruiter, you don't have to wait for me to find your company. You can actually go on there and post a job
Oh,
yourself.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I so for like employers and stuff, is it like, super expensive to post jobs, or is it
Not at
like
all.
one fee or monthly fee or
Not at all. So there's 2 models I've seen for job listings. Some companies will charge you per click. They'll charge you a base rate to post a job, as well as an additional fee per click. For me, it's one rate, and also if you're posting multiple jobs, obviously I can give you a break or give you deals. But my rates are in line with the industry standards.
Okay, nice. Nice. Did you have any advice for anyone who possibly would want to go into entrepreneurship, would want, have an idea and they want to go through with it, but maybe they're scared because whatever the case may be?
I mean, I think entrepreneurship is scary, but I think it's just really figuring out why you want to do it or what you want to do. Like if you think there's an opportunity to create something that does not exist, I would always encourage somebody to follow it, to do it. But I think the downsides or the risk that comes with entrepreneurship typically comes from what are you comparing it to? Right? Are you comparing it to the safety and security of a 9 to 5? Then it's not going to measure up in terms of security. But in terms of like potential or ability to create value, I think that is there for entrepreneurship. So it's not going to have the same characteristics of a 9 to 5 job where you're going to put the
Hmm.
work in and the pay is going to come in immediately. For most jobs, you get the job, you do the work. There's no risk on your part. If you did the work, you're going to get paid.
Mhm.
As an entrepreneur, you could do all the work, do it
Yeah.
right, and still lose and get it wrong. So I think just being aware of the possibilities of what could happen makes it a little less risky.
Yeah.
And also just knowing what you can stomach. You don't have to do all of it by yourself. You can build a team. You can work with other people, or even work with people that have done it before. Work with investors that know the business or know the industry. So I think if you think you really have, an idea, I think you should pursue it. But I
Oh,
am a
yeah.
little
You're a little what?
biased.
No, trust me, I get it. I started a business. I've not launched yet, but and sometimes I'm like, do I want to go public with it or do I just want to keep it in my little small amount of people that I work with, because it's just like it's so much that comes with it, right? And I've been learning that this year. It's so much, especially if you're a one-man show. It's so much versus like if you had a partner or if you had, other employees and things like that. I think that sometimes makes things a little less on your part, but I totally get where you're coming from. I'm definitely a person who says, go for it, give it a try. I mean, you never know what's gonna become of it. But at the same time, I also understand some people are comfortable, just working, and we need regular workers as well. So, big ups to you again on that. Did you have anything else you wanted to share?
For sure. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about your journey as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, for sure. So the thing is, when I left college, I went into corporate and I studied accounting. So I went into doing like bookkeeping and accounts payable, stuff like that, for this small nonprofit. Then when I moved to California, I went over to corporate accounting. I was doing financial analysis and GL and all these things. Then when I was in the corporate world, I just have always been like, I don't know. I don't like a like restricted schedule. Like the 9 to 5 flat schedule kind of frustrates me because I'm one of those people. I kind of like working on my own time. And I work in a field where I feel like we can work on our own time. We just have deadlines to meet. So I kept thinking, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. So then I went over to public accounting because corporate is in private. And so public is when you work for a firm. And I was doing taxes there. And I was like, I could create a tax company. I could create a bookkeeping company and make my own money on my own time. Because when I went to public, I was working by myself, like even though and the managers were asking me questions, and I'm like, you're supposed to be teaching me, like you're asking me how to use the software. I mean, I didn't have a problem helping them, but it made me realize like I have what it takes to just work on my own, like I've wanted to since I left college. It's just I could not figure out what I wanted to do. So same thing as you, how you went online and looked up a domain that came to your head and you saw it was available. The same thing happened to me. I had this idea for this, virtual bookkeeping and tax company. And so I looked up the domain and I was like, no one has this domain. Like, wait, what? Like, I was confused. And so I ended up just saying, you know what? Why not just create this company and, start doing tax and bookkeeping on my own? Got my tax license, currently finishing up my CPA. And I was just like, why not? And with mine though, I guess because there's a model for tax and bookkeeping already, because there's so many like tax and bookkeeping companies already. It was kind of a little easier, I think, to like set up something, but at the same time, what I wanted to do is make it and I'm still in that process of making it easy for clients to not have to like always have to be meeting with the tax person or their bookkeeper where, I can just text them or I can shoot them a quick email, if the information is not too sensitive. And I'm still in that process of still making it a lot easier on them. And my company is completely virtual, so no having to come to an office, like, tax season, people have to gather the paperwork and come to the office. I have it where everyone can just upload everything to the client portal, and I work on their taxes from there. And if there's any questions I have, I reach out to them. So that's kind of how I came into entrepreneurship. I still, work for companies while I'm working on that too. But um, it's been a journey. I'll tell you that. It's been a journey. It's been a journey of trial and errors. Because it's not easy, like you stated. Even for me, where it's like I feel like I have references online on where I could go if I need answers. I'm in so many tax, bookkeeping, and accounting groups, but still, you don't know until you're in it, until life happens and you're a one-man show and you're realizing, oh, I might need an employee. Oh, I might need a partner, because, when deadlines are coming up, and for example, I had, some debts from friends and family around me. And so it's like, but I have deadlines. So it just becomes a lot of trial and error. And I'm still in that process of sorting through that. I'm in the process, might be on your Easy Apply website looking for an assistant this tax season. So it's been a journey, but I think the long-term rewards, I would not trade the journey for the world. Like the freedom just to be able to, like, I work on my own time. I have deadlines, but I work on my own time, and I still can make a decent amount and still just have the freedom to live life and not miss out on things, for like, even when I start a family and stuff like that, like I'll be able to fully be home and stuff like that. So it's been a journey, but it's been fun, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
And like what you said too made me think about two different things. Another reason why I'm so like open to taking risks for starting businesses is the tax benefits, right? So I've
Yeah.
had years where I did well for myself and I saw the taxes I paid and my head blew up. I'm like, what? So when I think about starting businesses or new ventures, I look at it from this perspective. If I tell myself, okay, I can spend X amount of dollars on this venture, and if it doesn't work, well, I can write it off until I make a profit. Or if it does work, then I pay taxes on the profit. So to me, it's a little less risky knowing that in a way, part of what I'm spending on building the venture is money I would have paid in taxes anyways. That's how I look at it. So like if my W2 income is, whatever, if the business was a complete wash where I didn't make any revenue, then okay, I can deduct some of that expenses from my W2 income. If I do make money, a profit, then okay, I pay taxes on the profit, but that's still good too because I made money to pay taxes off it. So
No,
that's
yeah.
part of why I think it's a little less risky than it looks like for me. Because the other thing I want to say too is I had to learn this the hard way, is that like building a business is just as much about building like a customer as it is building a product, right? Like if you have products and no customers, you're not in business. If you have customers and no products, you're still not in business. So it's finding that right balance between how do I find customers? Like the same way you have an idea for like, I'm gonna, build a website, or I'm gonna buy X amount of t-shirts or buy business cards. The same way you can source products you need to run the business, how do you source customers? How do you generate a customer? And I think if you're an entrepreneur, make as much effort in thinking about how do I create a customer as you create your product, because I think you can't have one without the other.
No, that's so true. That's so true. You can't. Yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. Let me put it that way. And I plan to launch for this upcoming tax season. So that's a process, going through that and taking on more clients and things like that. Now that I'm more comfortable with what I do, I think when you start out in entrepreneurship, there's like a scare factor where and that imposter syndrome, I guess they call it too, where it's like you could be really good at what you do, but you're like scared because this is something, a new territory for you. You spent your whole life like being an employee, and working for someone else, and now you have to do everything on your own. So it's definitely various factors that go into it. So I don't fault anyone for not wanting to go into it. I know we live in a social age where they're telling everyone go own a business, but I don't think that's accurate. I don't think it's for everyone, because you have to be willing to take losses and you have to be able to bounce back from those losses, because there are losses, trust me. Even if you know what you're doing, it's losses because things come up that are out of your control. And you have to like make compromises for those things, and those compromises usually come in loss of cash, loss of money, loss of time, you name it. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. The flexibility I have now, and even in the future, I actually now signed up with this tax group. Well, this tax company, actually, they're a tax solution company where they help connect tax preparers like myself with clients. Like if you were looking for a tax preparer, they connect you with someone that can help you, with a licensed professional, I should say, that can help you. And that's gonna even bring in more clients to me than just me going out and getting clients on my own too. So it's a journey, but you figure things out. And I just found out like a company like that existed like a month ago. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, but when you're online and you're doing your research, and that's what comes with entrepreneurship, a lot of research. And as you do more and more research, you find new ways on how you can bring in clients and how you can earn more for your business, better solutions to make your job easier. And then it becomes a lot better, I think. What do you think about that?
For sure. I just think it's like something that is often overlooked.
Yeah.
I think we focus so much on like our ideas. We don't think about the end user or the customer, or
Yeah.
how it helps them, or how they interact with the business. So like by even taking the time to find out those opportunities, I think it's a huge advantage for you.
I've always been that person. I'm kind of like one of those freer spirited type of person. So I think when I was at 9 to 5 type work, like I don't mind it, but it's like if I have to do it the rest of my life, I feel like I would go crazy because how my brain works, it's like constantly moving, and just staying still forever would probably frustrate me. So I think you have to have a certain mindset to go into entrepreneurship too.
Me, I love problem solving. I hate problems, but I like problem solving. So I think for me, it's just looking at it. Okay, what's the problem? How do I solve this problem? And then trial and error. Like be willing to the willingness to fail. I think like something that we never really I didn't think about this when I started in business was the idea that like there's nothing for free in business. I
Oh
think
yeah.
people like with the belief of like every dollar I make is going to be profit. And it's not always like that. Sometimes you're going to spend 99 cents to make a dollar, but now you have the relationship. I think it's just thinking like that, where it's the idea that nothing comes for like it. Very few things are going to come for nothing. Like you have to get into the business of, okay, like how do I spend 80 cents to make a dollar, or how do I spend 20 cents to make a dollar? But the idea of like finding creative new ways to really partner with people and to add value to other people, and just really adding value. I think that's my thing. Like I love the idea of creating value.
No, that's true. That's so true. Question, uh, is Easy Apply Jobs your full-time thing, or do you do work outside of that? I'm not sure if you said
So
that
it's been
before.
my full-time thing for the past 6 months. And I spent a
Hmm.
lot of that time automating processes and solving a lot of the hard problems I couldn't solve. I think now I am going to get a job again. So I just have revenue, consistent revenue coming back in. And that's another thing. I think a lot of business owners or entrepreneurs think if I have a business, I can't have a job. I don't see it that way.
Mm.
Years ago, I saw this interview, and this guy made a really good point. He said, if you have a business where there's something you need to do for your business, and it would take you 5 months to learn how to do it proficiently, but you could pay somebody $2,000 to do it for you. You're better off working minimum wage for 3, 4 weeks to pay the person the $2,000 to do it for you than the money it would take for you to learn it 5 months. And I think for me, it was like learning about what can I delegate, what can I pay to have done, and then after that, it's okay. Like, what can I do? What do I need to do? What do I need to know how to do? And for me, that was like learning what to delegate, when to delegate, and just not even having the idea that like I can't have a job or I can't have outside sources of revenue because the business is making revenue now, but it's not profitable yet, right? Like I'm making revenue, but I'm not making revenue profitably. But that's the next thing I'm going to tackle is
Yeah.
how do I generate revenue profitably? And I think that's also something that like as a business owner who wants to think about that, like I'm going to be paying more to make money than I'm bringing in. But that's how businesses are in the beginning. You're going to invest more than you're bringing in. You're not going to be making revenue from day one, especially more revenue than your expenses from day one.
N- No, that's so true. And I think a lot of people, when they think of entrepreneurship, they just think, oh, you start working for yourself and you're just gonna be rich and that's it. Like, but no, like unless you have a lot of startup capital, but even then you're gonna be losing money. Typically, most lose money in the first year or two or three. And then a lot of businesses fail within the first 5 years. You know what I'm saying? So um it's good to recognize those things and recognize like, hey, it's okay to go back working for an employer. I mean, I've done the same thing. Like I started out and I thought, oh, da 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 da, but then as I started doing it, I'm like, you know what? Get in, maybe going into this industry, working a little bit in that industry, doing a little bit of that will give me more knowledge to actually help my business. And like you said, like with starting a business and all the expenses that come with it, you get to write off things. That's something I tell a lot of my clients. I'm like, you're weighing the cost of if you should go for quality or if you should go for the low quality thing, but you're going for the low quality thing and you're still paying money, but you go for the high quality thing. It's better to go for that and you just write it off on your taxes. So if you have to do a part-time job or a full-time job to fund your business, then do that. It's not like the end of the world. You might not be doing it forever, so, you have to do what you got to do to make your business a success.
And for me, like having outside income, now I'm looking at it now as an advantage as a business
Yeah.
owner. So I've had a business before where when I was young, I didn't know, like, I mean, the business was making money, it was profitable, and we were young. So me and my other owner, we were taking almost all the profits in the business as salary or as like a distribution. Whereas I'm looking back at it now, and if we had reinvested that money, the business could have been so much bigger. But I think we were just amazed that our business was making more profits than we would have made at a job, to be honest. And we were sort of, oh, like we're successful, like we should take this money and pay ourselves salaries and go on vacations and just spend the money. But I think now looking at it, if you can take the revenue or profits from your business and put it back into your business, I think the delay will actually help you grow the business faster. So by
Mm.
having a job to pay for your living expenses or your regular expenses, and keeping the money from the business in the business until it's big enough, I think that's an advantage. That if your business does not require you to be working on it every minute of every day, take the time to go work somewhere else or make some
Oh,
revenue.
yeah.
So yeah, that's the mistake I made in business, which was I was taking all the profits out of the business as my pay, and I don't recommend that to anybody. And I think if you're in the business and you're making money, put the money back in the business. Buy materials, buy marketing, get consulting if you need to, but spend the money on making the business bigger. Versus just taking it and saying, "Oh, I deserve this. I'm a good entrepreneur. Like I'm gonna go buy a new purse or a new phone or a new watch."
No, I agree with you completely. And that's That's even something I learned. Like when I left my last position, I had the idea that I'm just gonna start this business and it's just gonna be a success, and so I don't need another job and blah blah blah. But then since then, like now looking back, I kind of wish I had kept a full-time job while working on the business, because I think I would have been a lot further ahead. But it's like so much trial and errors you go through when you're trying to figure things out. Like when you start your first business, it's just, and then it made a lot of sense why so many people fail, because like you're trying to like run this business on essentially no income. You're trying to get clients, you're trying to do this, you're trying to fund the business because you have to fund it. You have to pay for your operating expenses, but you don't really have any good enough income coming in for you to even fund that. So I definitely would recommend for people who are looking into like you know, starting a business to possibly just keep a part-time or full-time job just to cover your basic expenses and things like that. And also to put some money into that business so that it can grow. Otherwise, you're kind of just in a weird way winging it and hoping it works out versus having the money there so you can make it work out.
But it's also like you're forcing yourself to start from zero every month. If
Yeah.
you made $5,000, $6,000 last month, and then you're gonna spend all of it, on whatever. Next month you're starting back at zero. Whereas you could start month two at $5,000 in the business. If you're finding ways to take care of yourself outside of that, if you're a solopreneur. So even hiring employees, like I think you're better off as an entrepreneur possibly hiring people to work for you if you can, and doing certain things yourself and just figuring out what those things are that you can delegate. Because if something's taking you 20 hours to do or it takes somebody else 5 hours to do, that's a no-brainer. And it's just thinking differently, even like in terms of if you have a business where you don't get paid out of it for, let's say, 5 years, but in 5 years it sells for $10 million. I mean, if you break it down, it's $1 million a year. But that delayed gratification, though, like who can really stomach that? Putting money into something that is not paying you right now. But in business, I look at it like I'm building equity in something. I think that's a different perspective from looking for the cash out right now or the cash out every month, every week, every whatever. It's really building equity in something that creates value on its own.
No, that's so true. I completely agree. And I hope that, anyone watching this planning to go into entrepreneurship could take some of our advice as far as what we've shared, because it's not an easy process. But you can make it a lot easier on yourself. Trust me, you can. Like if I had known what I know now, I would have went about things a whole lot different. And I would have been a lot further ahead. I'll still get there, but it's just taken me longer because I had to go through those trial and errors. So hopefully people will actually listen and not have to face the same trial and errors we did.
Yeah, I'm so glad you had me on here today. I love talking to you. You're very intelligent. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your platform. Thank you for creating something like Easy Apply. I think it'll be very beneficial for people to utilize. So go check him out. What was the website?
EasyApplyJobs.com.
Okay. Now I'm gonna have you just tell our audience where they can find you at again, and any last words.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at actual Omar. And my last words are just go for it and save your money.
Thank you so much for coming on my channel. And I want to thank you guys for watching. And I hope to see you in my next video.